Today we have with us Mr. Don Embry. He's the Bedford County Superintendent of Schools. And Don, it's a pleasure to sit down with you and talk to you today.
Thank you, David. I appreciate the invitation to talk to you.
Yeah, we just want to visit with you about one topic today. And that topic is the decision process that you go through whenever you have to close schools. Here we are in the middle of winter. You have a certain number of snow days built into this to the school calendar, and then you wake up this morning, or maybe you knew last night what was going on. You had to go through a process. Explain to everybody what that process entails.
Well, first of all, we have quite a few people across the county that we get input from to decide whether or not we're going to close schools or not, or whether or not we go late. We have a very large county in Bedford County as far as the number of miles that we have to cover each day. To give you an example, we have 70 school buses that run every day throughout Bedford County and covers about 3,500 miles total for all the buses on round trips. So we've got a very big county. The process, obviously we watch weather reports, and we have several people throughout the county who help us check roads. Jimmy Williams, the transportation supervisor, kind of heads that up, and he has folks that assist him, and they literally get out in the county. They literally drive the roads at 4 o'clock in the morning. I myself will get out and ride roads to check roads. Dale Davis, one of our mechanics with the bus garage, lives in a different part of the county. That, you know, we know where the hot spots are, we know where the danger roads are, and those are the first roads we go to in checking roads. Now, when we decide to either close or open or go late, you know, the first consideration has to be student safety. You know, buses don't drive well on ice and snow. They're not capable of doing that. And not only the buses, you've got a lot of students who drive to school too, and you know that concerns us. And so, you know, student safety is always the first factor in deciding what to do with schools.
Right. What about the cold weather? I know it's going to get cold tonight. You mentioned that.
Cold weather's a concern. We're concerned with little ones waiting on the buses in the mornings. May not realize this or not, but most buses get on the road about 6 o'clock in the morning, and so that's our, I guess you can say, our drop dead time of making the decision at 6 o'clock in the morning, because we have kids getting on the buses at 6:15, 6:20, that are on the bus for an hour or so. Many times they're little ones, and you know, you have to factor that into the equation of temperature. A lot of times you've got to factor in whether or not the buses will start, and with the extreme cold that we're running into right now, buses starting. You look at the buildings, the facilities themselves, of whether or not the buildings are heating okay. There are a lot of factors in doing that, and when we cancel school, it's not a matter of just making one phone call, and it's a very complicated process and very organized process of notifying folks. To give you an example, I have one person who notifies all the TV stations.
Right.
She notifies the radio stations.
Right.
And that takes time. Whenever we do our messenger, sending out the phone calls to parents, we have to populate over 8,000 phone calls.
Right.
If you can imagine downloading a program on your computer and how it takes time to download a program on your computer, imagine downloading 8,000 phone calls, 8,000 phone numbers. That's how many phone calls go out.
Right.
And so by the time I make the decision to close school and I notify our folks to start making the phone calls, it probably takes about 30 minutes for all of the phone calls not only to populate but also to go out to all the folks out in Bedford County. Not only are they phone calls, we also send out emails and text messages on our system.
Okay, so when you are watching the weather and you see that we have some bad weather coming in or bad cold coming in, and you're sitting there the night before and you don't know which way to go on something, do you say, okay, in the morning I've got to make a decision by 5 o'clock so that the word can get out?
We know, yeah. My rule of thumb for me is usually by 5:30 I've got to make the call so that the parents can be notified by 6. And you know, we ran into a situation last week where we went to school 2 hours late. We were literally on the roads at 4 o'clock. I was outside at 4 o'clock and nothing was out there. The roads were fine, and many times what we run into is from 4 o'clock till 5:30, for example, last week, the temperature drops on us. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, everything was fine. The roads were fine. The roads were clear. And then about 5:15, you start seeing the black ice, and you start seeing the ice, the roads icing over. Where we had several wrecks out in the county areas that it caught folks by surprise, and so that's where we rely on the sheriff's department. We talk to the sheriff's department. We talk to the Bedford County Highway Department, Stanley Smotherman. They're always a huge help. We get input from a lot of folks as far as the road conditions. And in that situation there last week, we felt like the decision was best to go 2 hours late to give time for the black ice to evaporate. With the winds, that by 10 o'clock we would be okay.
One other question I have for you, and we'll get out of your way so you can get back to work. But when you do cancel school and you start having some snow days build up, we know it affects the school calendar.
Right.
Does that ever come into play
Sure
when you're making your decision?
Sure does. Well, let me explain a little bit how the snow days, how we arrive at those snow days. Bedford County goes to school 30 minutes longer each day than what's required by the state. And we're allowed to take those 30 minutes and stockpile them, and those add up to be 13 days for the whole year. And we're allowed to use those 13 days for snow days. Now, what we have done the past few years is we've taken 5 of those days with the state's permission, and this is pretty common statewide. We take 5 of those days and we use those for staff development days where the kids don't go to school, but the teachers are in school and they're going through teacher meetings, staff meetings, teacher training for the various things. And what that leaves us with is with 8 snow days that we have that we can use strictly for weather. Now, many times I'm asked, well, we didn't use our snow days this year. Can we just call off school or shorten school year for 8 days? We're not allowed to do that. We are allowed to use those for inclement weather, and we have 8 days to work with. The 10 o'clock abbreviations or coming in late at 10 o'clock, those don't factor in. It's the days that we're out for the full day would be for the count towards those 8. We've used 2 days so far. We used one on Wednesday right after we returned from Christmas. This first day the kids were supposed to come back, we used it, and we also used today. Which is today's Wednesday. And so we've used 2 days. We have 6 days left.
Okay. Well, we've got a lot of winter left too.
We do. Please realize that we try to make the best decision that we can with the information that we have at that time. It's real easy to go back and second guess. I second guess myself, obviously. I want to make sure I make the right call. I want to make sure I'm doing what's best for the kids. We use every bit of information that we can at our disposal, whether it be radar, watching radar, whether watching the forecast, watching the television forecast, to talking with, getting information from our emergency management. We get emails and notices from them, and we seek a lot of input. We try to make the best decision we can, always keeping the safety of the kids first.
Well, I know I can speak for the students, parents out there. I've had kids in school myself, and y'all do a fantastic job. And we appreciate the work you do.
Thank you.
And we appreciate the time that you spent with us today. And hopefully we'll get to visit again with you someday on another topic.
Sounds good.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Appreciate it.